5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games.
Just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world.
Cinematic!
Ready your men, Captain. We will only get one chance. And remember, when you hear the whispers, call for help.
Cinematic w porę!
Attack!
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Czy to jest Gwenen?
Then Dorman. Shut your damn mouth. Ugh, why do I always get...
Trochę cicho, czekajcie, podgłośnie.
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Podgłosiłem. Okej. Różowo. Czy to jest Gwenen?
A mean cleave, eh, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren? Captain?
Gdzie pan kapitan?
It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain!
What the fuck?
On my back! Blade up!
Come on, come on! I'm ready! I'm ready! It's a man!
No, it's not.
Scorching Ray!
Run!
Give fuck honey! A to kumpel chyba, Hooded One. Nie.
Captain! Captain! Captain!
Runiczna klinga Kalgurów go przyskrzyniła.
Humanity isn't ready. On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine.
Się myślisz? Mapka endgame'owa? Nie. Corruption.
What is it?
Get the body.
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Your kind no longer control this world.
Tu się kurde
We
dzieje.
cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him! Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your
Wiem kto
fill.
to jest! Ten gościu z mieczem to jest boss pierwszego aktu. Iron Count. O kurde. Tak. Wszystko jasne. Let's fucking go. Ciekawe, kim się okaże Hooded One. Wygląda jak Shaper trochę.
Hi, I'm
Jonathan
Jonathan
Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 1. 2.
Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this live stream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay
Od
trailer.
razu! Gameplay trailer, lecimy.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but
Ale
impermanent.
widoczki!
Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another.
Klimaty walów, co to było?
The
Ludzka stonoga.
continuation of life must be protected at all costs. Some have said my methods are brutal.
Jezus,
To
tak
this,
horrorowo.
I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Jest, mercenarz. Pokaz klas. Ten mele gameplay wygląda tak dobrze. Drzewko jeszcze większe niż w jedynce. Czajcie? Większe, kurwa. Większe. I ta muzyczka robiona przez Kamila. Ah! Przez Polaka, rodaka.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
Mapki? Czy to Atlas? Dinozaur z laserem? Drzewko Atlasu! Endgame'owe. Let's fucking go! Ale oni potrafią budować
Those
hype.
who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Now, as you just saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the
To jest
content that will be
kino.
available at the start of early access. Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the endgame. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption.
20 lat
The
pojedyncze.
Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Najlepszy ekran wyboru postaci. Zawsze to mówię, nie mogę się powstrzymać. Wszyscy giną, oprócz ciebie, tej jednej postaci, która cudem przeżyła.
And this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2. Explore the
Nexus.
dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren
Co jest? Halo?
Traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri Desert. And
Nie, co jest? Halo?
there are challenges
Nie! O! Patrzcie! Przerwali ze względu na technical difficulties. Blizzard, przestań gryźć kable!
What are we
Oh.
facing here?
Puszczają jeszcze raz...
Precious.
O!
Those who
power intends to harness.
O! Co się dzieje?
There are 21 active skills for quarter staves.
Okej, dobra.
So this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2.
Lekkie problemy techniczne są.
Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren plains of the
Okej,
Vesteri
cofnęło do
Desert.
początku.
And delve into the jungle ruins
Dobra,
of Exile,
git.
an ancient Val city.
To nie ja
There are
przebijam.
challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses.
Roaming
No
merchants.
two areas are the same. it falls to you to
Większa
track
jakość?
down the seed of corruption,
Jest najwyższa.
the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first,
Pokaz
you'll need to
klas.
pick a class.
Dawaj, opowiadaj.
Now, Early Access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them.
6 klas podstawowo,
The
słyszeliście?
Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve
Grałem
building up and
mnikiem.
keeping momentum.
Zajebisty jest.
Like all classes in PoE2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos.
Bardzo mobilny.
To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE2. You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new. The Monk primarily uses the quarterstaff. There are 3
Świerk
schools of
pałka.
martial arts: lightning, ice,
Ale ma drip.
and wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3.
Czajcie, jak już to
Let's try
wygląda
killing palm.
dynamicznie? Ja
Like
pierdolę.
many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use Killing Palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The Monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a
Pokazują
skill that places a
komboska.
giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes.
Ale mu przydzwonił. Haha.
The Monk also has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have.
Kurwa,
By
jak on
endgame, you'll
dobrze
be
tutaj
dashing from
wygląda.
pack to pack, spewing projectiles and
pierdolę.
obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
Jak już taki wyższolevelowy?
Now, if you
Jaka
like a style
milara
of melee
była.
that's a little
No.
slower but hits much harder, then the Warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor.
Ja
Even though
pierdolę.
the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time.
Pełny animation cancel, mówi.
Among the skill option for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage.
Ale jest...
The Warrior can also use
Impact
war
piękny.
cries, which can empower your
Widzicie to?
next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will
Dziękuję
double
bardzo
any
za
slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness.
Mele...
If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE2, you
masz
can
active
raise your
blocka.
shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells. While
Nawet
holding
na
up your
spele.
shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable. Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash.
A!
If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way.
Patrzcie, unblockable ataki są sygnalizowane.
Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills
Literalnie
like
jest
Shield
takiego.
Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them. While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front. The Warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which
Like
can be
totem
placed to
biter.
stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the Earthquake. But you can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire.
Totem,
This is
który
a meta
slamuje za
skill,
ciebie.
which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance.
Czyli dajesz totemowi skill, którego używa.
There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on.
Bardzo dobrze
Time for
wygląda
some ranged
impact tych
attacks. The
slamów
ranger
ogromnych.
is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat.
Strzelanie w trakcie movementu, mówi. A to wiemy
Bow
akurat.
skills have a variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can
tam
also stick
tornado
lightning
shot.
arrows in the ground
Nie wiem,
which
czy
explode
widzieliście.
when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants. With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of
Patrzcie, w
tornadoes.
Endgame'ie pokazali, co tu się
You might
dzieje.
have noticed in the bottom
chciałem
left of the
zobaczyć.
screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot.
Jodupiano.
Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's
Neuron
not the only
aktywowany.
thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or
Patrzcie,
damage
pokazali
types.
trinkety.
Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a
Czarniki.
thawing charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters.
A widzicie.
You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your
Utility
belt.
flaszki. To jest dosłownie mój pomysł! O kurwa,
The
mój
mercenary
pomysł!
wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different ammo
Ja
types,
pierdolę!
offering versatility, power, and
Wzięli mój
mobility.
pomysł, który
All
zasugerowałem w
classes
czerwcu.
in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class
O
play
kurwa,
exactly like a
cinema!
shooter. For the
Tak jest.
crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles,
Związali go
assault
z
rifles,
peltami, tak jak
and
mówiłem.
even grenade launchers.
Ja pierdolę.
But not only that, there are a wide variety of more
Polska!
interesting elemental ammos too.
To dla was.
It's very fast to switch between ammo types, so long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect.
To był
Use
dosłownie mój
glacial
pomysł,
bolt,
który
create walls of
przekazałem w
ice to
czerwcu.
separate enemies, then switch to fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage.
Let's fucking go.
If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll
Artillery
want to
ballisty.
prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you rid the battlefield with grenades and
Endgame'owy
pepper your
tłuszcz
enemies
właśnie
with
był
your automatic
pokazany.
shotgun. If you're looking to take a back seat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead
A teraz
monsters to fight
samonerka
for her
endgame'owa.
while
Znaczy
casting
to jest
powerful chaos
endgame'owa.
spells that
Ale zaraz
debilitate
zobaczymy
her
endgame
enemies.
pewnie.
Occult skills are some of the most varied in the
zaczynam
game,
mulić stream.
with skeletons, noxious spells,
O,
specialty
halo.
minions, curses, and sacrificial magic.
To po ich stronie jak
Before we
coś.
talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell.
Patrz jakie fajne SRS-ki.
For the Witch, though, we'll want to be using our Spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here, I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one.
Decydujesz się, których
Skeletal
minionów ile
warriors
chcesz,
are cheap,
bazując na
but
twojej
weak,
ilości
useful
spirytu.
for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work?
Tego bana dać.
Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path. The sorceress bends the elements to her
O,
will, using them
czarodziejkę
to unleash
pokaż.
devastation
Jakie
on her
fireballce
foes.
wali.
This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar.
Zaraz ją pokażą w endgame'ie.
The
Dawaj, dawaj.
elemental skills have everything you might expect and more. fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea.
To wygląda na
Each
drugi.
spell is unique
Endgame.
and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through
No.
it.
Ale
If you place a
spark
wall
lata.
and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain
Kurde.
extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The Sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems.
Cast on Ignite.
For example, you could grab the Cast on Ignite gem
Gdy
and
ignite'ujesz
use it with
przeciwników, to
Firestorm.
rzuca się spelek.
As you
Dawaj.
ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited.
Deszcz ognia.
There are 25 active elemental
Oh.
skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off
Endgame.
projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access.
Wszystkie te
But we will be
endgame'owe
adding
pokazy
6 more
wyglądają tak
character
dobrze,
classes with just as many skills and
jak
options as
pokazują na
these.
5 sekund.
There's a lot more to come. There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no
To
restrictions.
bardzo ważne.
You can use all these skills on any class so long as
Słuchajcie
you have
tego.
the attributes.
Możesz robić mix and match. Możesz
For
grać, nie wiem,
example, a
wojownika ze
poison ranger
skillem
might
łucznika.
want to try out using
Itd.
occult curses to increase her poison damage. Or a monk might want to trigger elemental ice walls to use with his glacial cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are
Jaki
practically
kombosek?
unlimited.
Stawiasz
We're looking
crosswalla,
forward to what kind of things you guys might
żeby go
find.
rozbijać jako mnich.
Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet. So let's talk about support gems.
Coś nowego
Path of
powiedzą?
Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can
Patrz,
pick
masz
between.
parę rekomendowanych.
For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally, when you fire a grenade, it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill.
O, Sniper
Generally
Rifle
speaking,
z
if it sounds like a support
multiprojem.
gem should work with a
Wygląda
skill,
super.
then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage.
To jest duża zmiana względem
Now,
jedynki.
if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time.
Jedna kopia.
But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill.
Jedna kopia
There are
support gema.
hundreds of support gems to
Całym
choose
twoim
from,
buildzie.
and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now, all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide.
Or at
So,
least
speaking of
someone's...
builds, let's talk about
follow
one of the most
someone's build.
iconic Path of Exile systems,
Pokaz nowe
the
drzeweczko.
passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there.
Większe niż w jedynce.
Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree.
Niech was nie przeraża. Ono
Around
jest
your section of
proste.
the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Za golda można refundować, jak w jedynce teraz w sumie. Dobrze. Reset punktów za golda.
Now, the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to
Ataki
not
kuszą
consume a
mogą
bolt.
nie konsumować bełta na
And here's
przykład,
one
nie?
that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes.
Wydaje mi się, że wspominając o tych notablach, oni teraz robią podbudówkę do wspomnienia zaraz o keystone'ach, które są faktycznymi game changerami.
You'll generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a two-hand mace with a shield, or even dual-wield them.
Dwuręczniak z tarczą na przykład.
Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the Sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization. Or you could switch between one-hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks
Czy
while
boss
following
właśnie
up with
dostał
heavy hits from the
stagera,
bigger mace.
atakując go, gdy ten
Or
blokował?
perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to deal off enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like, but creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system.
No, dwa weapon sety,
You can get
słuchajcie.
weapon
Dwa buildy naraz
specialization
macie.
points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful items.
King in the Mist.
If you're having trouble getting past a boss,
To bossik z
it might be a
jedynki,
good idea to
tylko
explore
pewnie w
and
jakiejś
see what you can
reiteracji.
find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the Canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit.
No,
The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find it
rytuał
useful,
na
so make sure
kampanii.
you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique.
jak w jedyneczce.
One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with one
Transmut
mod.
zawsze daje jednego moda
You
na
can then
itemie.
apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a third mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more
Fajna
mods
baza
to your
crossbowa
rare
w
to a
ogóle.
total of
Remake
6
skills,
mods.
additional approach.
One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play.
Oh,
All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently.
więcej orbów.
As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common,
Droppy.
you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this Glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold
Runy do
resistance.
itemów.
This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage.
Okej.
If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town
Ten
to work
sposób.
towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost.
Dobra.
If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful.
No ma być system
Every
jak
time you
Faustus
level
z
up, you get
jedynki.
more stock,
Gamby.
so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required.
Bardzo silny będzie
The
vendor
other
na
thing you might
początku.
want to use gold for is the currency exchange.
A patrzcie,
This
kogo my
allows
tu
you to
mamy.
exchange currency items with other players on an open market
Rynek
in
jak w
exchange for a
jedynce i
small
alfa.
gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character except gold. Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't. Uniques.
Poka,
They are
unikat.
especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your
Jak z
character.
jedyneczki Gamble Sprinty.
Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink,
Zmienia
morphing
dodge
you
rolla
into
w
sand as you
blinka.
teleport past your foes.
Masz TPK na spacji.
And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character
Ale
around.
drip.
We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential
Ale
use at
kurwa,
in-game,
drip.
even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Widziałem Veritosek, no.
The last character
Ascendancje!
progression system that you can do
Na
during
to
the campaign
czekałem.
is Ascension. Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your
36
Ascension
klas
class.
postaci.
We'll explain
36.
these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available.
Okej, na początek będziemy mieć tylko ile?
Ascendancy classes
12.
are
Dobra.
unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character. As a sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
Kastujesz jakieś sztormy, gdy
With
krytujesz.
Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage.
Stakujesz
And going
szoki.
deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a
Szukajcie
Shock
wszystkim.
build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She
Czarodziej
literally
magii.
has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze.
O kurwa, ale
Not only
dobre!
that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was.
Ale to
Or with
fajne.
Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again.
Reset wszystkich cooldownów. Cofnięcie
On
się
the
w
Warrior, you
czasie.
can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of
Przyzywasz
your
jakieś
totems.
duchy z...
With Jade
zwierząt
Heritage,
okurwionych.
you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Jade Tombik.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with
Eksplozję
Great
ciał,
Wolf's
gdy
Howl, you can
krzyczysz.
ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
O.
The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock.
To jest Earthshaker. Dota 2.
With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage.
Klasa dla Sigm.
As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style.
Deadeye to dla
With
zoomerów
endless
zawsze klasa.
munitions, every attack gains an extra
Musiało być
projectile.
Endless Munitions. Więcej pocisków.
With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison.
Wraca Pathfinderka.
She can choose from one of several throwable
A jednak.
concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock
Rzuca
your enemies,
flachami.
allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing,
Dużo szybciej
while
porusza się w
Relentless
trakcie
Pursuit makes her
atakowania.
totally
To
immune to
fajne
being
akurat.
slowed by enemies.
Duża
The
dynamika.
Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage.
Blood
As an
Mage!
Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit.
O! Ty, jaka
With
fajna
Pyromantic
fajerowa.
Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage.
Zmienia manę w płomienie.
Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon.
Okej.
While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well.
Zmiana w
So if you're
demonice.
planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She
Myślałem,
can
że to
also
będzie...
become a Blood Mage, a master of life
Ale
and energy.
arcik dojebany.
All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life.
Słyszycie?
With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well.
Musisz wydawać
Once you've
life'a
got a
zamiast
significant
manę.
amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental Expression, the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield.
A możesz medytować w
Choose
trakcie
between
ruchu?
I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder.
I am
to
the
specialize in
Blizzard.
cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar.
Co
Each
napisał?
time you apply a status
Ziomek.
ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead.
Patrz,
The
związane
Acolyte
z
of
Breachem,
Chayula can
Chayulą.
exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the
Okay.
darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only
Ale co,
happen
nie
instantly,
rezerwujesz aury
but
wtedy?
apply to their
Jak nie masz
energy shield
spiryta?
as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream,
Into the
which
breach.
allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage.
A to śmieszne.
The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange
Witch
for less
Hunter.
defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance
Explode
to
on
explode
kill.
on death. The chance is doubled against demons
Explode
and
on
undead.
kill. No i to mi się
With
podoba.
Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses.
Możesz
And with Witchbane,
bossowi
you can break your enemy's
30% HP
concentration,
zapieprzyć?
preventing them from casting spells as often as they would
Okay.
usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh.
Co?
Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock
Co
up more
ty
and more
gadasz?
support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while
Gemowa
Crystalline
Ascendancja.
Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character. So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
Pokazali tylko po parę notek.
Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the great trials,
Nie będzie labiryntów.
which you'll find as you progress through the
A co
campaign.
będzie zamiast labiryntów?
Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a
To jest
coin,
Balbala.
and you are no different.
Pokonałem ją. Balbala z Baria,
Once you have
widzicie?
earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial. In the Trial of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will
widzisz.
send its blood to the
Masz
chalice in the
challenge
center of the
roomy
room.
zamiast labiryntu.
Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another
jest
coin in
dosłownie
order to try
sanctum.
again. It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the Trial of the Seconds. After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial.
To fajne, bo to jest trochę taki
Once you
test
have
skilla.
claimed your
Przestań
reward,
być
you
trafiany.
will be shown a
Lubię.
map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to
To
proceed.
jest sanctum.
Which challenges would you like to face, and which rewards
A to
do you want to
śmieszne.
claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50%
A to
increased
giga
life.
śmieszne.
You
To
will
część
want to
osób
take
będzie tego
care if you
nienawidzić.
choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters,
Znaczy,
and strange artifacts will test your honor.
na pewno przewaga nad labiryntem
As
jest
you
taka,
progress,
że
you'll
się
be
nie
able to
gubisz.
gain boons from the
Wykonujesz
gym,
jakieś
which will
challenge,
help you
ale
on
nie
your
robisz
journey.
tego, co jest największym
For
problemem
example,
labiryntu,
the Sekima's
czyli
cloak will
bieganie
revive
jak
you once if you die,
kurczak.
giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions.
Sanctum type beat.
At the end of the
śmieszne.
floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
Patrz, on miał kiedyś być w prostszej wersji w akcie drugim, a go przesunęli na to sanctum. A to śmieszne.
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll
ale
need silver
malucik.
or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points
Kurde,
to
nie wiem,
use
czy
in the
będę grał
tree.
na start. Oj,
Now there
chore.
are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Seconds, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend.
A widzisz.
If the Trial of the Seconds is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you.
A widzisz.
For early access, we will have 2 trials as options,
Masz
with a third
różne
trial coming
sposoby
later for the full
ascendowania
release.
i wybierasz ten, który ci najbardziej
While
pasuje.
exploring the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the
Whoa.
Temple of Chaos.
Ale
Before
plot
the
twist.
Vaal embraced the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to
Pokaz.
gain power.
Trial
Entry to the
Master.
trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of
Musisz
the
zrobić
trial.
10 wave'ów.
These modifiers
ultimatum,
might
żeby
beef up the
ascendować.
monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards
Ale
like
to giga
turrets or
śmieszne.
trap runes. In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets. As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the
Aha.
lightning projectiles from the shocking
Daje ci
turrets.
różne challenge. Na przykład ten challenge to, że musisz wyczyścić wszystkie moby. Jaki fajny design w ogóle. Mob design jest super. Zaraz się dowiemy pewnie, że będzie jakieś jeszcze inna metoda ascendowania. XD.
After each room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of
Powiedział,
each
że
other
będzie
and can
więcej,
become
ale w
overwhelming.
przyszłych aktach, a na razie w Early Accessie będą tylko 2 sposoby ascendowania, a potem więcej.
There
Okej.
are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another
tam się
requires you
zblokował
to
w mobie.
escort the stone idol through the level as
Akurat
elevators
wyglądało
for monsters
niefortunnie.
descend to attack you. should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same.
Z losowymi bossami będziesz tu walczył.
After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Secondments, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class. Now it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take.
You can go
but we'll
deeper.
talk more about that when we get to
Ooh.
Endgame. So how about we talk about that now? So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins.
Widzisz.
Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough
Co
endgame
z
content.
Endgame'em? No
Well,
właśnie.
we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea.
A to ciekawe.
Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the endgame
Czyli
challenges to
mamy
overcome.
przeskok do endgame'u po
So
3
several
aktach
months
na
ago,
razie.
we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into
W
release.
trakcie early game'u gra ma się
Now, in order to make
podwoić w
the endgame
zawartości,
happen at
z
the
tego co
same
mówią.
character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called
A,
Crawl,
widzisz.
where you repeat the campaign with all the
2
monsters and
poziomy
bosses leveled up.
trudności.
And of course, new rewards.
Diablo 2 Type
You can
Beat,
kind of think of it as like a new game plus.
czyli
It's
2
also a
razy
lot faster to
przechodzisz
get through the
kampanię,
content the second
a potem
time as your
endgame.
clear speed increases. That will
Dopóki
take
nie
you to around
wprowadzą
level 65, where the endgame begins.
dodatkowych
Once we
aktów.
add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Crawl difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame?
Poka endgame.
To explain that, I'll hand
To
over to
jest
Mark.
najważniejsze.
He can tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2.
Siema Marek.
Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
7 systemów endgame'owych.
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of
Najważniejszy
Exile
atlas
2.
mapek jak w
It's
jedynce.
infinite
Okej.
and expands in all directions. Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the
Ale
monsters that
ładny
you
map
will
device.
face.
No.
To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to
ten
travel
map
to the
device jest
area you have
piękny.
selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign.
Flicker!
And we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster
Blue
packs you will
flicker!
face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities.
Już na start 400
Depending on
różnych
which
mobów.
combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world.
Czyli kompletujesz
If
mapkę
you
jak w
die,
jedynce.
then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it.
Okej.
There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff.
O!
Some of the buffs
Tu wasze
make you
FPS-y
faster,
spadły.
others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased
Czyli
experience
shriny w
or help
taki-
you find better items.
Lepsza wersja
You can
Shine'u.
also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure,
Klasyczek.
but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There
Zegzaltował
are different
detonację
types of
umarłych.
strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly,
Co tu
so
się
you can
dzieje?
optimize the content. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
A, że to jest taki chest, który wprowadza taką mechanikę jak zerkania.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items
powiem
with a
tak.
guaranteed mod from a category.
Gracze jedynki się będą czuć jak w domu. Z tymi
For
mechanikami.
example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod. Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
Dobra, to klasyczne poe jednak. Nie wiadomo co się dzieje.
This is incredibly powerful, since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclass for modifying
widzisz,
items,
będzie można coś
and we
dodać
can get a
esencją.
very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items.
Kraftowanie mapek. Pokaz
Adding
mody.
prefix mods will improve the rewards,
Experience
while suffix
gain.
mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the
Słyszeliście?
more waystones will drop.
Prefiksy zwiększają nagrodę, a
Adding
sufiksy
mods to your
karę.
waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider when crafting your waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more
waystony to
magic and
mapka.
rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops.
Pokaż jeszcze to drzewko.
As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclass and have
Miasta w
specific
Atlasie?
items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an
Mark,
undisturbed
pokaż.
island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just
Never
enjoying
seen
his retirement who will give you a unique item for free.
A jego to lubię.
In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own
Ale
personal
ładna
base
babka
of
w ogóle.
operations.
Śliczna.
A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge.
A widzisz,
There are
to z
lots of
Lazepocha.
things to find,
A
so
kurde.
keep looking.
Wzięli akurat ideę.
Some sections of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers
Jak
to the
Heroes
maps in the
3 też,
region,
no.
increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them.
Bardzo
The
dużo
icon
dezinformacji.
indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only
Oh.
1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities.
Słyszycie?
It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special
Czyli nie
points
na
for the
każdej
boss
mapce
hunting
bosik.
section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them.
Czyli możesz się specjalizować w boss killingu.
For each different type of content
w
in
ogóle
the
tego nie
endgame,
robić.
we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar,
Pokaz
the
Breacha.
monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly
jaki bildzik
monstrosities
fajny.
that lie in
Ball
wait for
lightning,
this other
spark,
plane of existence.
ale już
By
endgame'owy.
engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can
Ultimate
be a
Life
good
Flask.
boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out.
Widzę ten sam problem
One
Breacha
of
co
the
w
rewards
jedynce.
that you may find while fighting
Że jak masz
monsters from
korytarzową
Breach
mapkę,
are
to
tablets.
tak średnio.
Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining.
A widzisz,
Want to
to
do more
zamiast
breaches?
skarabów tak
Find the
jakby.
tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets.
To
Soon
zajebiste
your
podejście
Atlas
do
will be
skarabów,
covered in
szczerze.
otherworldly domains.
Dużo lepsze
In
niż w jedynce.
addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets.
Ej, to jest
allowing you
genialne
to
rozwiązanie
upgrade all the
skarabów.
breaches
Tak
in
to powinno wyglądać w
range.
jedynce.
Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often, you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to rarely juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple
Pa!
tablets.
Stakujesz
In
sobie
your fight to
różne
hold the breach demons at
tabliczki.
bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each endgame mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that
Jest
mechanic,
juicing.
and Breach is no different. In Breach, you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mods. You can also find Breach Rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170
fajne
life.
rozwiązanie Breach
Breach
Ringów.
Rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing Breach monsters, you may find Breach Splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a Breach Stone.
To musiało
Using a
być.
vile technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your Breachstone to access their domain and bring the fight to them.
Zobaczmy jak wygląda Bridgestone w
In
dwójce.
this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Powiem tak, nie wiem co powiedzieć.
And
To
should
jest
you be fast enough, you
dosłownie
will be
mechanika
able to
z jedynki.
fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
O kurwa, cinema. Ale fajny bossik kluczowy. Z łapkami. Ale przerolowane. O!
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made.
Czyli
All
będą
these
od razu
encounters have
Pinnacle
specific
Bossy na
uniques
start.
that can only be found from them. But that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the
widzisz.
Atlas tree. Allocating
Robienie
these
rzeczy
points will
związanych
make
z mechaniką
breaches
daje
and
punkty
the
do niej.
breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain
będzie
above
parę
certain
trudności
thresholds.
Zeshta. Nie wiem,
Defeating
czy jestem
Zesht at
fanem,
difficulty
szczerze.
4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in Rayclast.
Chyba wolę, jak boss ma jedną, max dwie wersje.
Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive.
No, to taki rytuał połączony z
The
moim buildem.
tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you will be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend.
Ale nie
One of
pokażę
the
bossa.
rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for metacrafting.
Ty, patrz.
Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes?
Gdy masz ten
This
omen-
omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want,
O
while
kurwa.
keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different
Czekajcie,
effects, but
przesunę
we will
się.
leave them for you to discover. Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more
Dobra,
rituals.
powiem wam, co tam było
If you want to get to
napisane.
the Pinnacle Boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding.
Omeny będą
The
służyć do
pinnacle encounter of
metakraftowania.
Ritual is the king in
Na
the
przykład,
mists.
że
Feared by
Exile
the
doda
Asbury
prefiks.
people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A
Nie cierpię
mysterious
Delirium
entity
w
has
jedynce.
taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and
Ale
you will
zoomerzy
find your
kochają.
nightmares coming to life. When you touch a mirror, the mists of Delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop.
Nienawidzę
However,
Delirium.
the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters
Ale
are.
dobra,
Be
część z was się
careful
ucieszy.
not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions.
Co to jest?
By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable
Aha.
from the passive skill tree.
Anoint
This is
będzie
like
związany
gaining
z
an extra
z Delirium.
passive point for free, attached to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get. Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your endgame maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty
Ty,
and rewards, allowing you to
wszystkie mapy
further
możesz
juice your
anointować,
endgame maps.
żeby je
The
rzucować.
tablets you can find from Delirium can be used to further improve
O
it,
kurwic.
increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters
Oh.
based on warped versions of your own memories.
Simulacrum
Monsters
wraca.
and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on,
Ciekawe, jakie
facing
nowe
up
bossy będą
against even
simulacrum.
tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying.
Wracał mi fobia? Mam
If you
nadzieję,
can
że
complete
zmieniony.
a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers.
Ciekawe, czy będą
The
tak OP
Kalgurans
na
have discovered
SSF-ie,
ancient burial
jak w
sites
jedynce.
with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts.
To powiem tak. Czyli jest... Jak ktoś nie grał w jedynkę, to są mechaniki z Power 1, tylko odświeżone. Więc jak pogra ktoś w jedynkę, to będziesz wiedział, o co chodzi w dwójce wszystko, tak na dobrą sprawę.
Danik, Rog, Tujin, and Gwynin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site.
Pokaż logbuczek.
Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful. Many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle.
Kurde, ale nie
There are
chcą
all sorts of
pokazać
interesting
więcej
things
bossów
buried under the ground in
pinnacle'owych.
logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to Endgame 2. Just like the other in-game systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Że ten jakby sanctum możesz robić w takiej wersji uberowej.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another Pinnacle Boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The Trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here.
Czyli jewele są teraz
There are
czymś
also
mocnym
other types of
game'owym.
jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%.
I zrównali
With careful
klastery
placement in the
z
tree,
klasterami.
you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself.
Jewele,
In order to push further into the trial
rzeczy
and
na
uncover
drzewku.
the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run.
Czy będzie original scene w Q2?
The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random, mysterious outcomes.
Myślicie, że walorby będą tylko z tych
prevents an
prób?
item from being modified further,
Walowych?
so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might reroll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have.
Sposób na
A body
dodanie
armor can
trzeciego
get up to
soketa do
3
itema.
sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods. Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Vaal sought to
Co to jest?
replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes.
Aha, zamiast dueli do
Like all
itemów.
in-game content, there is of course a Pinnacle Boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing.
Czekaj,
the most
wyłączę-
difficult content in Path of
Wyłączę
Exile 2.
donację. Dziękuję ślicznie,
While
nie będzie
mapping,
polskiego
you might
języka
come
na
across
razie.
this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they
Czekaj,
believe
to
will be
jakiś
inside. Each of the
ultimatywny
faction's
boss?
leaders have managed to get their
Podstawowy?
hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in order to fight them, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the
Patrz,
adjacent
musisz
zones.
pokonać uberowe
Be
wersje
careful.
bossów z
If you
aktów,
fail against either of the
żeby zdobyć
lieutenants,
klucze,
or to kill
żeby
the
wejść na
leader,
jakiegoś
they will move
uber
on,
bossa.
and you will need to
O
find them
kurwa.
again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first
Uber
time.
Tristam.
But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your
I
challenges
za
for
zabicie go
PoE2.
dostajesz dodatkowe
As you can
drzewko.
see, this project is crazy huge. Way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during
Classic.
early access you'll need a key to get in.
Dobra,
To
wyciągam
thank our
portfel.
existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one
Ten
of the new
środkowy
early
fajny.
access supporter packs that have just been released to the store.
Te wszystkie 4 po prawej
If you
fajne.
just want early access to PoE2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The
Sam
pack
klucz za
also
30
comes with
dolków.
$30 of points to spend in the MTX store.
Ten bardzo
But
fajny.
we also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive
Ten taki,
microtransactions,
okej, dobry.
points to spend in the store, and even physical items.
Ten walowy
The
zajebisty.
cosmetics can be used right now in PoE1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access
O!
starts.
Już można
Most of this
jedynkę
footage has been
odpalić.
recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of
Ten
Ogham
giga dobry,
himself.
szczerze.
There is also a matching back attachment, which has an alternate
I ma
variant depicting
ładny
the influence of corruption.
płaszczyk, a nie pierdolone skrzydła na pół ekranu.
Also in this pack, you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Veil of Ogham, and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds.
Nienawidzę
This one doesn't
skrzydeł
look so
takich
vicious,
ogromnych.
On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Y-Hander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and
Pay-to-win.
tales of Path
Można
of
mieć
Exile's
miecz
history,
bossa.
you will also get a series of hideout
Supporter
statues.
packu.
This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The
Okay.
pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble. Become the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri plains.
Patrzcie.
The body armor will
Na
allow you
tym
to glide along the ground with ancient
Nie
sand.
będą
magic.
cię on-ground
Now,
efekty
each armor
dotykać,
set
bo
comes with
lewitujesz.
body armor,
OP.
boots, gloves, and helmet. But the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you
A to
can
na
turn the
jedynce
gliding off if
pokazują
you
teraz.
want.
To jest po jeden.
The accompanying back attachment equips you with 2 powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy.
Pokażcie na dwójeczce.
Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin. Or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a
What?
King of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri plains.
Czy to jest hideout?
In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like.
Dobra,
and it's
no
no
to
exception
jest
here.
najlepszy
It
hideout.
comes with a
kurczę.
variety of thematic elements to use, or use decorations from elsewhere in the game.
O
Additionally,
kurde.
you will get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect.
fajny efekt levelowania.
the king of the Faradin Kiwi pet,
Dobra, ten
and
hideout jest
last but not
dojebany.
least,
To
a
jest najlepszy
statue
hideout.
depicting the Vile Oversoul from Path of Exile 1. For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well. The Thaumaturge of the Vile supporter pack
Co
features an
sądzicie o tym
armor set
supporter
and
packu?
back
Bo
attachment
mi się
themed
podoba.
around the Vile and their pursuit of
Jest taki-
science and progress.
Tak chciałbym wyglądać, żeby
You can
wyglądał
find the
Spiritborn.
Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic
Tak,
energy
kurwa,
harnessed from
aesthetic
sacrifice to spill from your weapon.
Fajny imo, piękny.
This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once
Rozumiem,
used
czemu
by
komuś miało się nie
Doryani.
podobać,
And this can be applied to
ale
shields
ja
in
lubię
Path of
takie
Exile 1.
klimaty.
That's not the only Vile weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin. You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vile did. Thaumaturge of the Vile supporters will
Skemowany
receive
Kiwi.
the Thaumaturge of the Vile Kiwi pet. And the Statue
największym
of
hitem
Dominus. This is
hideout
also
na
the
razie.
first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt. But if you don't want one, you can opt out and return for additional points to spend in the
Ej,
store.
teraz oglądając te skiny w
Becoming a
P1,
warlord of the
to czuję taki
Karui
dysonans
supporter will
trochę.
grant you an armor set and back attachment, adorned in jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war.
O, tu kocham! O,
Overkill, you say? I think the Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you
Okay.
slay to crush them to a pulp?
nie na
Replace
HC.
your crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by
Mata?
Karui
No to
warriors
kojarzę z
to
Polski.
aid in your crafting desires.
We must all start somewhere.
Taki crafting bench w
You'll
stylu
also get a pair of weapon
duchowym.
skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces.
Taki zielony ludek.
A true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi. Equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic, they make the perfect sidekick.
Uwielbiam muzyczkę stoty, ale to nie są moje
Once
klimaty
one of the
wizualnie.
most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of exile's past, present, and of the future.
Statuetka fajna. Do hideoutu.
Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By
Ej,
becoming a
ale
warlord
P1
of the Karui supporter, you'll also
Ale
get a Path of
P1
Exile
się
2
wydaje
hoodie.
brzydkie, jak się napatrzyłem przez
Our
godzinę na
final tier of
P2.
supporter
Jezus
pack in
Maria.
this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack. The Liberator of Rayclast armor set and back attachment come made with the finest materials in Rayclast, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power. Set up your base of operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout. Why restrict yourself to
Ładny.
just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation
Taka
hideout comes
europejska
equipped with your own
wioseczka.
collection of small islands and personal operators of boats
Masz
that you can use to
łódkę
row
w
between them.
hideoutie.
Just walk to the piers, click a boat
Co
to
tu
enter,
się
and navigate as you
odpływa?
choose. Decorate each island as you see fit to best represent your well-earned hideout. Everyone in your hideout can use their own boat. Why not have some races? You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you
To
approach
mega
it.
śmieszne.
As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form. Rule and style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to in-game maps, but it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing
To jest
kingdom.
map device
Look down
połączony
on
z
the plebeians
tronem.
running your maps.
Cinema. No, to jest kurwa
Being the
kino.
Liberator, though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High Priest in charge as your second in
Ja mam w
command.
ogóle motkę cinema, bo nie widzę.
Liberator of
Czy tak
Rayclast
se piszecie
supporters will
cinema?
also get a set of varied weapon skins.
Mam, okej.
The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin, and the Redemption Shield
Ej,
skin.
ten paladyński supporter pack? To jest ten
Once
set
again, you'll have
paladyński
an
jest
accompanying Kiwi,
zajebisty.
and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history. The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the
Kaitaiwa.
Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page
No
full-color
i
art
rip.
book includes
Muszę
a huge
kupić.
amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development. And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of
Widzieliście
letting the
te
community
arty,
participate in
witchki
designing game
i rangerki? Na
For Path of Exile
ArtStation
2,
ten
we're
artysta
adding the
wrzucił te
Twilight
postacie
Order
również
foil
Dago.
relic
Ciekawostka.
By becoming a Liberator of Ray class supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted along with a message for the lucky player.
Do 2.
The
Dobra.
more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely. Now almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access.
Tak jak my mieli
We'd
wprowadzić
really
kiedyś
like to
kuszę
thank you for
do
your
1,
ongoing
ale nie
support.
chyba źle
Without you
zrozumiałem.
guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
A i szczerze, nie spodziewałem się, że to będzie tyle trwać. Półtora godziny takiej bomby informacyjnej. Powiedzmy sobie szczerze, oni nie krążyli w kółko, tylko cały czas lecieli jak, kurde, Formuła 1.